Good afternoon, this is Gina, and I am here with The Joy is in the Journey. I am a practitioner out of Rhode Island, and I serve Concordia Centers for Spiritual Living as well as the Greater Boston CSL. And I am so happy to be here with you today. And The Joy is in the Journey, for those of you who are new to us, we are here to help people recognize that every day is supposed to be a joyful journey. It's not about the destination. Far too often people get caught up in the when I have this, when I get that promotion, when I meet the right person, when I have enough money. Life is right here, right now, and you will never be in the same place again. So this show is about finding new ways to appreciate the joy right here and now, to let you know what are some options out there, what are some things that I never thought about, what are some things that might bring me joy. So I bring different people in that absolutely make me smile, and today's guest could not possibly be someone who makes me smile more. This person is actually, I'm going to have her tell you a little bit more about herself and her background, but this person her name is Barbara Fuyat, and she is amazing. She is a beautiful practitioner of over 10 years and does so much more. She's started her own teaching chapter, and over the past couple of years, South Coastal Mass Teaching Chapter has a very different format, and I can't wait for you to hear all about it. As times have changed, life has changed, not just over the past year when it comes to COVID or any of those restrictions, but how people want to be ministered to, how the good news gets out can be in so many forms. So I would love to bring in Barbara Fuyat, who is absolutely a gift to me, and I know she is going to be a gift to you. Good afternoon.
Hi, Gina. How exciting to be on your show. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here and sharing what it is that you do, because you have such a special way of everything you do. And we're definitely going to talk about sacred ceremony. This woman is synonymous with that. Everything she does is in a sacred way, and that is absolutely a gift, because one of the things that we look for in our spiritual life is that sense of the sacred. So we're going to go into that a little later on in the show, and I look forward to that. But for now, I'd love tell us a little bit about your background. I know as far as Concordia, which is where I had met you for over 10 years, God bless. You're actually on the board for over 7 years of it. And I know you've been a practitioner at this point for over 10, and you've done everything. I know you were the visioning coordinator, social justice lead. You did organizational design, which I remember at that time, we revamped the entire thing so that it was more of a circle than any kind of hierarchy. I know you've taught me classes, several of them, and pastoral care. I mean, a little bit of everything, which is, it's a lot of what a minister does in a lot of different ways. And from that, you went into a teaching chapter. So all of that I want to know about. Before that, tell us a little bit about more of your background and how it suits your role now.
Well, I started out, anyway, my background is primarily as executive director or CEO of nonprofit agencies serving survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. And this goes back in the day. So this is well over 30 years ago. Not that I'm going to tell you exactly how many years, but so we were starting out in a very political arena. It was the time of the Vietnam War. We were doing a lot of what we call now spiritual activism, carrying the signs, burning your bra, doing, wanting peace, peace, peace. And it was a wonderful era, as we are in right now, of transformation, of moving forward, of being in the consciousness of equality. And equality, certainly of men and women. My little piece of the pie, of the peace pie, was in service to folks who are experiencing violence in their own home by their intimate partners. So Yet that in my position, I did a lot of lobbying, a lot of state and national legislative work. In fact, Joe Biden put in the Violence Against Women Act for us way back in the day, and which brought national attention to this issue. So but it was a lot of building community. And for me, even back then, it could have had the appearance of separation, you know, men against women. And we were, if you in Rhode Island, if you were marching in the Take Back the Night March for safety for women, you were marching in the Gay Pride March, you were marching in the, you know, Martin Luther King March. I mean, it's a very small state, so the activists just come together in a community, always from my perspective, with the sense of oneness. So we had a lot of men working shoulder to shoulder with us to end that issue. So you never retire from that work because it's a passion and it's a way of life. When I came back from Rhode Island, from being in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I wanted something. I had, you know, experienced a variety in my spiritual path, having left my religion of roots, which was Catholicism, for which I am very grateful, planted such a seed of faith. And I moved on from that for many wonderful reasons and hard reasons. So in moving on, I had a great opportunity to explore. And I explored a lot of things, you know, Native American, Wiccan, all kinds of spiritualism, Episcopal church. I mean, I just went on this journey of exploration in my spiritual life, but always from the time I was 28 years old. And I found a book in the College Hill bookstore called The Cosmic Energizer and How to Use It by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Have I been studying science of mind, and yet never in a science of mind community. So when I moved back to Rhode Island, finding Concordia was like coming home. And that's where I did all of my, you know, schooling and classes and became a practitioner. And at that time, Reverend Ian Taylor was there. And bless his soul. No matter what we came to him with, often, you know, so I was rooted in rituals. And when we went to him saying, we would really like to have a moon ceremony, science of mind way. And he would, like, you know, ponder and say, yeah, okay. And from there, you know, I mean, we just integrate who we are at this very moment and bring in, I think, the ceremony, services, rituals, and beliefs of who we are in this very moment. So there you have it, honey, in a nutshell.
And it's funny that you say that about Reverend Dr. Ian Taylor. He actually, I remember I hadn't been around, maybe a year or so, and I had the vision of the Peace Circle. And I brought it to him thinking he would think I was crazy. And he handed me a key and he said, so what night is it going to be? And, you know, the beauty of that is it gets us to pushes us out of our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And when we are called to do something, it's so important that we take it seriously. And isn't it wonderful to have a minister that would take it seriously? Mm-hmm. And granted, there's not every idea is perfect in every way. You know, but at the same time, isn't it wonderful to have that support as from a minister? And I think that in ministry, I know as a senior in ministerial school and knowing many people coming through, it's so important that there be that place for people wherever they're at, because we've always had different types of practices and different things to explore. And doesn't it all come together in the end? It's a beautiful way that it all mixes. And it's part of being open at the top, isn't it?
Isn't it wonderful with that, along with, you know, I mean, we're in the Northeast, so there's one center in Rhode Island, there's one center in Boston. Massachusetts is a large state, and so the South Coast was sort of, I think, in all of the area that we looked into with the demographics, there were 6 people receiving the Science of Mind magazine. So, you know, many of us have moved forward to then bring this philosophy and faith and wonderful way of life out into the world. And yet we do things all together. We support each other. We promote each other. You know, if and Reverend Alan Lucas, who's now, you know, obviously the senior minister at Concordia, is so open to that, to inviting people from all around as we invite people from all around. And I just think it's a wonderful model because we are a science of mind community, geographically, wherever we are. As one of the gifts of, this past year, we are one with each other all over the world. So,
And Reverend, I just want to say,
Northeast is a little unique in our.
Yes.
God.
Reverend Allen has been wonderful. We have different ceremonies. We actually have a thriving, our women's ministry has had all kinds of different ceremonies within it. We've had all kinds of things, and he is very open to different ideas and different studies. And it's been wonderful. So we were definitely blessed to go from one wonderful minister to another. Yeah. Very different in so many ways, but so wonderful and open and continues to grow, especially online. To have this past year and continue to grow a center, there's someone behind it that is putting in the work for that to work. So absolutely, and that's, you're right, when there's not a lot around you, we're not modeled after much of anybody in that way. It's just, we're growing from there, and that we are. So I'm grateful to have you here. But one of the things I want to talk about is, or I should say, and one of the things I want to talk about is, I love the concept of a teaching chapter. And, that it can, absolutely can grow into more than that. It can definitely become a center. And many of them, that's how they begin. I know the Boston chapter, that's how they began. So I want you to tell us, what is a teaching chapter and how did you begin it? What did it mean? And all of that goes along with that. Give us a background on that. For those of you that are new to, Science of Mind or our Centers for Spiritual Living, because we have people from different aspects of New Thought watching, or people in general, if you can just let us know what is that?
Well, it really, for me, was sort of the concept of going back to Ernest Holmes' fireside chats, or going back, as I imagined, Jesus walking from town to town teaching, and Buddha sitting under the tree. And, it feels like back to basics and creating community through teachings and through sharings. And so the practical difference, I would say, in a teaching chapter and a center is a licensed practitioner can lead a teaching chapter. It has to be an ordained minister, I believe. I think it's ordained anyway, to lead a center. And Sunday services are granted, if it's important to the geographic area. So they're done under special circumstances. And that's really the basic differences. So what you're doing is bringing forth the word through teaching and, having workshops and having ceremonies and rituals and services and things like that. And the process is again, Reverend Ian was there. And for me, I was bringing it into Massachusetts. So my license was going to Reverend George Stewart and Reverend Ed Tansey, who were the co-spiritual leaders of Boston. And now Reverend George is the spiritual leader there, with, I must say, such wonderful support from our wonderful Gina. So so they're our sponsoring center. CSL Greater Boston is our sponsoring center. And when we had a small group of us, who some of the folks lived in that area, and we were just called to bring this to South Coastal Massachusetts, we did a lot of visioning. We all really came together on the same plate of spending a lot of time together in prayer, in visioning, and in building our own community, because the 8 of us at that time who would be serving as we call it leadership circle, were in fact the Science of Mind community in that geographic area. And through our visioning, our vision was and is to to be mobile, to be on the go, our vision is to have a food truck, and we have it all designed. It's like a regular food truck, and on that tray is the Science of Mind books and all the other books that we sell, but to have the Starburst painted on the side, so that as we go through the community and into the community, we were known like this is Science of Mind. And the other thing that was important to us was not to reinvent any wheels, to bring this teaching into the community as we became more and more a part of the community. So at that time, I was meeting with a lot of different ministers in the area, Unitarian churches, different yoga centers. It's a wonderful area. There's a lot of farms. There's a lot of yoga places. So our vision and mission is really and purpose is to not reinvent any wheels, but melt into the community. For our social justice work, partnering with the 2 Unitarian churches is wonderful because they have such wonderful social justice going on. For our classes, right before the pandemic, we had offers from 3 places where one was Emerging in Health in Rochester, Massachusetts, where we were holding services and about to do a class. And the other was the Unitarian Church in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And then, of course, we went into, everything on Zoom. So our teaching and all of that, and the Saturday services or rituals happened on Zoom. But yeah, and it was amazing when we talk to people in coffee shops, in restaurants, at yoga centers.
You would bring it to the people. I loved that. You would bring it to the people. You had beaches. You would go to the beach and have beach services. Yes. I loved that.
We had services on the beach, around 5 or 6 o'clock. And we will continue to do that now. We're looking into that now and what that's going to look like. And we're having our first outside service the end of May. And our classes now we've built up. I mean, we were starting with, as I said, we contacted those 6 people, 2 of whom were interested. We're just starting from scratch. And, we're very committed to that. We don't look at the numbers. That's not where we are. We look at the consciousness. It's like, we talk about all the time. Prayer and consciousness does not stay in a room. You know what I mean? So whether there's 10 of us or 25 of us in a room doing a service, it is going out into that community, our energy, our consciousness, our love, our welcoming, and, being a magnet to welcome people who are finding or want to find us, but being visible enough for them to do that. And I would say that's our opportunity right now is spiffing up our social media presence. And sure enough, people have come to us to help us with that. So a lot to it. But, we wanted to be like the bamboo plant. We wanted to build deep, deep roots so that we were very grounded. We were very rooted. So when we came up through the ground, then we can grow easily because we have that wonderful foundation of what we believe is really, really important.
And you have a very strong leadership council that has been with you. You even have a couple of people ready to go into practitioner studies soon.
Soon, yes, we do. And they're co-founders. I mean, we're all co-founders. I think you can only put 4 or 5 on the thing, but we are, Chris Westgate, Jim Macri, Lori Johnson, Linda Lindemood, Kathy Black was on for a while, Debbie Fleet. We're all co-founders of this. We're all kind of, blazing this path in this geographic area, and incredible support from the wonderful Boston community, from, wonderful Concordia. Incredible support we call Concordia the launching pad. I do anyway, the launching pad, because if you look at it, it's 30 some years of existence and see where people are who have gotten their initial education there. And we're so rooted in a Science of Mind community, people have just launched, here, there, and everywhere. So it's quite wonderful. It's quite wonderful.
So there may not be a lot of centers in the Northeast for those that are listening in the rest of the rest of the country, but we are here. We are here, and it is flourishing.
Yeah.
And it's similar. A teaching chapter is very similar to the path of opening a center. So it is something I wanted to bring on, and I wanted to just mention, because we have a lot of practitioners that if there's a seed planted in you to go out and share this, you don't just have to stay within your center. You have the option. And if there isn't a center where you moved and there isn't one, start a teaching chapter. You have that's what we're here to do, is raise the vibration so that we can build a world that works for everyone, not just where it's convenient. We want to make it for everyone. So it's
Absolutely.
using the consciousness wherever we are. I know Reverend Celeste, she ended up moving to South Dakota and began teaching chapter there. And there are people still involved that went through as practitioners, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's amazing. And I'll tell you, our home office, Centers for Spiritual Living, they have it down. I mean, they send you a packet, and Reverend Ian Taylor was launching us and supporting this wonderful, to us, limitless, perhaps unconventional idea. And and Reverends Ed Tansey and George Stewart, and then Reverend Julie Lobato. My God bless her. Um, I'm sure I had a million phone calls to her, but it's a process, and it's a good process, because you're creating bylaws and as you go on, you're creating policies, but you're doing everything in creating a teaching chapter that you would do really in creating a center, so that you're starting from visioning. You're starting from, okay, what spirit's idea? Greatest idea of this teaching chapter in South Coast of Massachusetts, and working from that and allowing that to evolve. So so it was a process of time, and I think we became official about not even a year and a half ago. So yeah, and some of the wonderful opportunities we have as we continue now back out in the community are the colleges that are there. We have a couple, we have a junior college, a couple of colleges, and Chris Westgate is Dr. Chris Westgate. He's a professor at Johnson and Wales. He invited some of the students to help us in creating our website and it was an internship for them, for a class, and thank God, because after the first few meetings of me saying, what button? I'm sure they would have been like, rah. They were wonderful and very supportive. But most importantly to me was we were about, this far from starting a group on the 4 agreements, because that felt like a neutral thing, that we didn't have to deal with anything that might cross any lines, and we could go through the student affairs department. So we had been approved, and the students themselves were leading that. They were getting the other students to go because they loved, and they knew about it from reading all the material we gave them, to create a brochure or create a website. So our meetings ended up turning into, mini classes, and they were wonderful, wonderful students, but their enthusiasm for this teaching was very enlightening to us. Like, man, you have got to reach out to this community wherever they are, not
And
getting
that's it. It's getting
and putting out a sign and waiting for someone to come to us, which is a way. Of course, now everything is on social media, that being present, like even we go to fairs now that the fairs will be starting up. South Coastal Mass is obviously very, very much involved in all the beautiful beaches in those areas, but also very, and I say this with great respect, earthy, crunchy. And so there's just a lot of wonderful farms and farmers markets, and little collaborations of yoga studios and different. There's a spiritualist church in Fall River, so it's a very rich community for us to, and that was our goal, to find out what's happening in the community and have a banner and a table and show up. And we have just made wonderful partnerships. That's how, we got our space with the wonderful Alex and Chris from Emerging in Health in Rochester. And every place we went, Jane from the Marion Institute down in Marion, Massachusetts, just connected us with people. We've had coffee shops and restaurants offering us their space, So it was really like, wow. And of course, we went into a different sphere, a different plane of communicating and teaching. And so it's all moving and unfolding, as we believe in divine right action and divine right timing.
And it's knowing that, and following. You have a calling. It's about going for that calling and knowing that, you're not being led on your own. There's always going to be spirit leading people to you, which
Yeah.
is
Yes.
important to remember too. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And there is help. There's always help, whether it's to be the home office, your regionals. There's always people around you. So I wanted
Right.
to make sure people knew, but I also want them to know that they can reach you and find out more about you online. And how would they do that?
They would, do you want my email and phone, that kind of thing would be best. I mean, they can certainly look us up on our, as soon as I put my glasses on, I'll tell you. So they can go to www.cslsouthcoast.org. But for me, they could also text and call or email, which is my phone number is 401 301 3772. And my email is B as in Barbara, M as in Marie, F as in Fuyat, CSL@gmail.com. And for anyone who even has this little spark or little question about starting a teaching chapter, I would love to have that conversation, because it's a wonderful calling and journey for a practitioner, I think. Oh, I lost you. You're on.
Sorry about that. Here
That's
I
it.
am. I put that up there so that people can reach you. And if
What?
they have any questions, they can actually go through and just, kind of just another contact point. Also, I want to mention that they can also get more information on Facebook, because you are on Facebook,
Yes,
and
we
that would lead them to the. I know that
and
the technical
we're
side
on
of
Instagram. Yes, we are.
Yes, you're on Insta and everything. Have your own website, and you can go online. It's Facebook. What's your title? It would be CSL.
My title for the email?
Nope, for on Facebook. It's CSL South Coastal Mass,
South
correct?
Coast. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So they can go to Centers for Spiritual Living South Coastal Mass, and that will give them all the information that they need as well.
Yes.
So
Or get to me
just
directly.
another way.
I can put you on our email list so you can see what's happening and what's going on. And within a couple more months, our website and all of that good stuff, Facebook, will be running smoothly, because we have wonderful Angelus who's going to be doing that for us.
You get sent what you need, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So now one of the things that I want to talk about is I want to move over into the sacred ceremony. Okay. And I'd love to share one of the things we did a town hall, and after the town hall, we did just the ceremony to make it that sacred knowing and moving forward into the new. And you were there with us, of course. Of course, you were there because I know your heart is always with the Greater Boston Center as well. But it's also just the way that you go about ceremony is beautiful, and it's appreciated. And we actually had, you believe it or not, you can actually have sacred ceremony on Zoom. I'm just letting people know out there in case they're wondering. It is possible to feel the sacred presence even on Zoom. So we had candles, and we had people have their own paper to set intentions, and you led us through, because it happened to be on the full moon, and you led us through, and it was beautiful. So tell me, how is it that you ended up looking into that? Where did you get I know you had said you studied the Native American and different things. Have you always had that sense of the sacred in that way?
Well, I have always, it's I would now say the divine feminine, and back in my early years when I was Catholic, it would have been Mother Mary. So I mean, as we broadened our spiritual beliefs, or and all of our terminology is so inclusive. And yes, always have been have been absolutely drawn to that. So when I was on a spiritual, exploration and wonderful things, I mean, I really did get to study and spend time, and have always also been drawn to our wonderful Native American culture. And so I got to experience a lot of that. And then I studied Wiccan, and I got to experience a lot of that. And that came from a springboard of being in the sodality and saying the rosary and lighting candles and all of the wonderful rituals and services from the Catholic Church, the incense, and then I got to experience that. And
It's so funny because people think about that. I was also raised Catholic, and I would never have thought about the fact that there are those same ceremonies in Wiccan that you would do, like the incense and the lighting of candles. All of that happens at any mass. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's funny how it's all our perspective, because I didn't look at them as anything like that, but yet I looked at other things in different ways. It's just what you're used to. But when we're open-minded and walk into something, it's amazing the layers that it can go deep in within us.
And so for me, it became a real heart center. It's I think it's so, when you're in ceremony and you're doing different rituals, whether it's, the fire and burning something you're releasing, or water, like so many of us do, and washing our hands, the symbolism and the actual, although I must say, in our mind's eye the other night, it really was very effective. You can hear the fire and hear the crackling and, release what it is we're going to release. But all of the oneness with Mother Earth, this our one, that is the creator of all, has created this incredible planet with such energy. I mean, it's so alive, and with the energy, with everything healing that grows in it, all of our herbs and our flowers and our oils and the, pure water. We want to keep it pure and make it pure. And all of the richness of the gifts of Mother Earth, to be incorporated into anything and everything. And so it goes back to like Celtics and pagan rituals, which a lot of the, like certainly Christianity, but a lot of other high holidays are around the equinox. So it was like, there are a lot of times of the year that many, many, many things are celebrated in many different denominations, as well as a lot of the earth religions and Celtics. And so I think as we do so often, being so open to many paths to the same source, I think by incorporating those things brings a real, for me, a real sense of release. If there's something I want to release, it brings me to my heart space, where I'm actually feeling the energy of the earth and the tree energy, and being in oneness with that, and opens my heart space. So I'm not necessarily reciting prayers. We're just being in the oneness with this energy and vibration, and things that we do are very symbolic. Very symbolic. The lighting of candles, the anointing, the many things that are in many traditional religions that started, we talk about ancient wisdom and new thought. These were ancient rituals that existed. So like, frankincense was actually more valuable than gold, when you think about, the gifts that were brought to Jesus symbolically. Anyway, so
I just want to mention, we are live, so if anybody has questions for Barbara about any of this, even now, you're welcome to ask them. Just put them in the chat. Know that we're live, and you're welcome to just reach out to us. Go right ahead. Sorry about that.
No, so when we so bringing it into this community, Science Med, which so many people have, and talking to Ian, we just combined everything. We do our invocation, and then we call in, the directions, the east, the west, the gifts of the east and the west and the north and the south and above and below. And it feels very honoring. Just feels like we're honoring this wonderful earth Mother Earth that we live on, and our energy, our vibration, our whole belief system, the one creator that has gifted all of this.
It's all about the oneness. And when we are in that ceremony of knowing that everything is sacred, it
Mm-hmm.
really is, you know, we live in a society, unfortunately, of bigger, better, faster, more. And we are often caught up in whatever distraction of the day or the week or the moment for some people's lives. And it's so wonderful when you walk into a ceremony. I know another one is like the burning bowl ceremony is another one many people are familiar with, where a lot of people do it at New Year's. I know past couple of years we have, and it's about letting go of the old and embrace of the new, and that symbolism of that actually going through and getting rid of something, and then and receiving something else, and really being in that place of honoring that through ceremony, with a treatment, with prayer, being in that place of with other people is very powerful. It's, we know where one or more are gathered, all the more that there's power there. So in these ceremonies, when we come in to be present in with that intent of, it really is powerful.
Yes. And as you said, Gina, we've certainly experienced a lot over this past year. And there would be times sometimes when we'd be in an open field or in wherever it was that we were so granted the opportunity to do a ceremony on a wonderful piece of land, just having people take their shoes off, rushing from the car, getting to the ceremony on time. You know how we arrive places sometimes like, whoa, and just saying, take your shoes off and let your feet just be on this grass, and breathing in that and breathing in the energy of the plants and the trees, and just those moments of silence and oneness shifts us. It just shifts us. It can be no other way. And of course it's just as real as when we did it the other night in our mind's eye, as every meditation is. We're on that vibration, and it's just as real. So there's a welcoming to it, a sacredness to it. I think it just adds, especially what we have gotten a lot of feedback on, is people who were rooted in traditional religions miss that. They miss rituals, communion, anointing, we obviously do a welcoming ceremony. I mean, we in Science of Mind have a lot of beautiful ceremonies. And I think as we
sometimes
understand it.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, sometimes people tend to like poo-poo it. Like it's almost like it doesn't seem that it's, but we do. You're right. We absolutely have all of these different traditions that we use all of the time. New member ceremonies. We do it for practitioner ceremonies. We wouldn't have weddings. We wouldn't have, that's why we have wedding ceremonies, because, or even funeral ceremonies, because it's important that we honor, and it's if only we made everything more sacred. Think about the world we would live in.
Yes. Well, and think about how we prepare for guests, or many times, we all prepare for whatever it is at Concordia or the teaching chapter of Boston. And honestly, you walk into the room. I remember walking into Boston one time, and it was Shar, who's now a practitioner, had the most beautiful I can't even explain it. It was woven gold as a tablecloth. I mean, there was no more sacred altar that I have ever seen than what she had, welcoming guests coming in the door on this table with candles and with little lights and flowers. And so we're bringing in all of the earth. We're bringing in the candles for the fire. We're bringing in water to have on the table representing our oceans. We're bringing in, do you know what I mean? We're bringing in symbols, like on an altar, you'd have maybe shells or wood, or bringing in representations of all of the part of our universe, of the planet and the universe. And it's honoring, and it's making special for whatever it is we're celebrating or whomever it is we're honoring. And that's worth the time, and it sets an energy in a room. When you walk into that kind of environment, you can feel it. You can feel it filled with love and sacredness.
One of my fondest memories of practitioner studies was at the end of Prac 1, you and actually it was another Barbara, who were practitioners, created a sacred breakfast for us. And we came in completely unexpected, just really not expecting this at all. And we came into this gorgeous gold trimmed china with gorgeous like gold and fresh flowers and everything from fresh fruit to just this beautiful breakfast that you had created for us. And there were about 8 of us at the time in the class that had completed it. And what a sacred memory it was. Just, it was the lights were down and it was just daylight was all that we could see with tea lights. And it was just a very sacred thing. And these are the memories that we create or we can create within our communities. So it's thanking people in that way. And I'm sure it wasn't easy to pull it all together early in the morning, although you do make everything look simple. But what could have been just a get together turned into this beautiful memory. And, we get to do that for the people in our lives. When we honor the time that we have with people, you're making memories, not just conversation. And there's ways to do that in our everyday life that are so important.
And our role of being of service, we did that also at Concordia with new members. And when they finished the new member orientation, those who had gone through it before, and it would serve them. So there was this beautiful table set for them and a wonderful meal prepared for them. And they came and sat and they got to have intimate conversation with the minister and, with other people in the community. But it was being served that we always would hear back from when they wrote, like recommendations or, gave us input and things. That feeling of being cherished and being served. And, it's amazing sometimes how when we're in our busy mode, we forget to serve ourselves. And when someone is there just to say, here's how special you are, and this is how we've prepared the table for you. It always reminds me, and at the beginning of every class, I read that passage from Ernest Holmes that's in the front of our Science of Mind book when he says, welcome, you are welcome here, come in, food is prepared for you, drink is prepared for you, sit by the fire. It's just beautiful. And that I always interpret that as his intention for the environment of our classes. So it just always brings that message to me like, oh, that's how we would want to welcome people into class. Come, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whatever you believe, wherever you're going, come, you are welcome here. And the fire is set for you and the food is here for you. So
see, I was raised, I'm Italian, so with a big Italian household, you'd walk in the door and they'd say, you look hungry, come sit down, and they'd feed you. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I knew that you couldn't look hungry. In general, people don't look hungry. But in my house, it was just so every day that I just assumed that there was a thing. I didn't know until college. You couldn't look it, but it's that welcoming. You're part of the family. And treating people with that love, not just respect, but honoring. It's truly seeing the Christ in someone. When we celebrate them to that point, when we honor people, we are seeing the Christ in them. And I think there's no greater joy that you can, when we serve others, we are served. Spirit through us is serving. Therefore, we are served because Spirit fills us. There's nothing better to me than to buy someone something that I know they're going to love. I love to
As
find,
the recipient of some of that, I'm so happy you think that.
I do, it just makes me so happy
Love
to
everything.
find the first, to know someone and pick something just for them is really an important thing. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something, I make jewelry. I love making jewelry. And, I love bringing bracelets to people. I love bringing, little things, something that's for them to let them know I was thinking of them. And when I'm not there, I'm still with them. And we can do that by sending someone a letter, like an old fashioned, put a stamp on it and put a card in the mail. Imagine that. But
Yeah.
when they get that, it takes time to do that, and people appreciate it. Yes, an email is nice, a text message, you're thinking of them, that's better than nothing. But especially our older generation, how much did they do for us? Wouldn't it be a gift to just send back? Because we don't know how long we get them. And to honor and cherish them, it takes very little to make people happy. You would be amazed, depending upon who it is, of course. But in general, taking time to honor our friends, to honor, be in that place of appreciation, because
And
we
celebration. Woo!
yes,
Celebrate everything. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a difference in perspective that we're not looking for what's missing. We're appreciating what we have. And when we live in that appreciation, amazing things happen. They've done studies and they realized that throughout the world, some of the poorest of countries were the happiest. And here we are in America with everything at our fingertips and griping about most of it at any given time, depending upon who you're talking to. And yet we are not, and even in the top 10. So we are the wealthiest, but we are not the happiest by far. Actually, we're on more medications than anybody in the world. So that bigger, better, faster, more is not serving us in that way. So, when you think about years ago and you think about different parts of the world, when you have nothing else except each other, you spend time on your relationships. And that's where the joy is. Far more than anything you can buy or achieve. It's not about accumulating stuff. And our society has kind of gone off the rails in some ways with, different types of expectations. Where, what do we really need? What do we really choose? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's the wonderful opportunity we have in this very moment in time, because I've had many conversations with folks about, from this moment forward, what is it I want to bring back into my life that maybe was here in March or February of 2020, and what is it I'm letting go of? How am I emerging into this world right now in a different way? And I think that's a wonderful, we've taken a pause, and now we get to really reflect and ponder about what have we missed in this year and what have we not missed. So what we can let go of and what it is we're going to be inviting as we move forward. So we're moving forward, I think, with a maybe the same perspective, but for some of us, I'll just speak for me, a different perspective on time and intimacy with people, intimacy, like longing to hug my friends and family, longing, something I just so took for granted. So I think it's a wonderful time to reflect on life from this moment forward and what it is and how it is we're emerging.
And what do we choose it to be?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Right now, we're in that place to be able to choose. You're right. What do we leave behind and what do we keep? Some of the things we thought we would never be able to live without, we didn't do for a year. I've been in the movie theater at this point, what is it, 14, 16 months at least. I haven't been near a movie theater. And, people are starting to go back into, and it's amazing how much has changed our perspective. So it's keeping that in the forefront and being in that place of honoring what is important.
Yes. And I think I think nature has, we've had times, sometimes getting fresh air was walking by ourselves or walking, 10 feet apart or something. But bringing nature, having the time to be in nature differently, perhaps than before, which feeds for me, of course, into ceremony, ritual, or just our wholeness. So,
And taking nothing for granted.
so true.
We are human beings, not
Or Gina, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate.
we're human beings, not human doings.
Yeah.
And it is really, that's why I always say the joy is in the journey. It's every day. It's not when this is over, I'm going to, well, what did you do in the interim? Were you just miserable? So many people, when I retire or it's so important to just be here now and look at the blessings. There are a lot of people that didn't make it through this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many people that have had tremendous grief and loss. And it's not to minimize that in any way. And we want to make sure that people are still living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So this has been wonderful.
Well, this has been a joy to be on your wonderful new show. Congratulations and thank you.
Believe it or not, it's like it's 3 months now. It's moving fast. We're moving right along. So please let me know.
Bringing the joy to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And anybody that has a topic in mind that they'd love to let us know, please you can email me at gina@believeininyoutoday.com. I would love to hear from you. And of course, one last time, I'm going to let you know a way to contact Barbara. Here's a phone number and an email address, or if you ever needed to reach out to me, I can get you her information as well. And you can go right on to South Coastal Mass, CSL South Coastal Mass Teaching Chapter on Facebook, and you'll get more information about where they are and upcoming events, classes, etc. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for being a guest and telling us a little bit about your path and how you got called to do all of this. It's so important that we know that there's always different options. And if this teaching isn't where you are, you can put it there. As a practitioner, you can go online for practitioner studies and you can bring it to wherever you are and celebrate and make it sacred, because that's what life is meant to be. It is a sacred journey. It's not, everything happens for a reason, and you can see how it all works together. So thank you, my dear friend, and
thank you.
And thank you for all that you do in making life sacred for so many. So I'd love to give another time. You'll have to come back and maybe you can do a little bit of a meditation to show how that would work. Welcoming everyone in and at the full moon time. We'll see how we'll have to do something like that online. I would love to do that.
Thank you. Thanks.
So thank you for being here. And I'm going to do some commercials, a little bit more to let people know what's going on. Thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
You will. Thank you, Gina.
Love you. So thank you for being here with me on this joyful journey today. Please know that we are here at New Thought Media Network. We are here to bring good news out to the world. So let people know that we're here. Whether you let them know about the shows, whether you send them a link, whatever it may be, let them know that New Thought Media Network is here to spread the good news and raise the vibration for a world that works for everyone. So if you have been served, go onto our website, ntmedia.org, and if you're able, make a donation. If you can give back, that would be wonderful. Know that this network is here because of people just like you. What you give is what allows us to bring this programming out to the world in this unique way. So I am very grateful for it. And again, if you need to get a hold of me, you can just reach out to Gina at Believe in You Today. And I am here on Monday nights. I am here with the Peace Circle, which is we come together to be that change we wish to see in the world. Join me on Monday evenings for the Peace Circle, which is 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And it has music, meditation, and message, bringing and raising that vibration so that we can be that change. Joy is not just a soundbite. It is why we're here. Spirit, as you, as an individualized expression, Spirit is here to live and expand and be that through you. So I celebrate you, the sacred you that you are. Make every day sacred. We have spiritual practices. Know that those aren't just something that's to be tossed aside. That time that you give yourself, that is sacred. Honor yourself. Light a candle. Just be still and know. There's so many ways that you can invite that into your personal space, knowing that your time is important, that your thoughts, your prayers, it's all important. And the more ritual and routine that you can put around that, the more that comes out of it. Remember that every person that you see is the divine in this oneness, in this space of each one, including the eyes you see in the mirror. Absolutely. That is divine showing up. So treat it with that honor. Treat it in that blessed way. So I honor you and I thank you for spending this time with me today. And I thank you, Barbara, for sharing your light with the world. So I invite you to go out and shine, celebrate, be that change, and celebrate the good news that is life, joy, love, all available at any given moment. So the joy is in the journey. And as we go through this day and this week, I wish you nothing but that love, that joy, that peace. Be well. Namaste.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.